Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, joined by attorney Alexander Palomara, and we're going to talk about one of Alex's resolved long-term disability claims against the Hartford Insurance Company. And Alex, in these videos, we like to talk about the history of the claim, the basis for Hartford's denial, how you were able to overcome the denial and get benefits reinstated, and then provide some tips for people who have a Hartford claim no matter what stage their claim's at.
Definitely.
So tell us a little bit about the background of this case that led to the claim denial.
So she was on claim actually for 6 years before we ever got contacted by her to get involved in this case. And she was on claim, she applied for benefits on her own, got approved, got through the change in definition of disability, and then seemingly out of nowhere, she gets a denial letter from Hartford. Kind of rocked her world. I mean, she'd been suffering from a vestibular issue, a bilateral labyrinthine dysfunction, and also, she had also concussion issues, TBI issues and whatnot. But for the most part, it was that main issue. So basically her world, when you have that diagnosis, her world is kind of weird. It's different than our world in the sense that obviously she has balance issues, but when she's in motion, like the world jumps at her. It's kind of like her eyesight issues and whatnot. It's kind of a weird diagnosis. And for 6 years, they paid her benefits. They found her to be disabled. They found her medical records to be very supportive, found her doctors to be very supportive. But the one thing that happened that she didn't realize, it was a red flag, but what happened was that Hartford decided to send her to an independent medical examination. Now she went to it thinking nothing was going to go on. I was going to go see this doctor. He's going to agree with my doctors and sign off, and I'll be back on. I'll continue on claim this entire time. But when the insurance company is sending you down for an IME, it's kind of a red flag that they're taking a good hard look at your claim. She didn't realize that, so a couple weeks later, after that IME appointment, she gets a denial letter, which kind of just rocked her world. She's not expecting this whatsoever, and her benefits stopped immediately.
So you're using acronyms that we're familiar with, but what is IME, and is it really an IME?
Well, it's an independent medical examination where the insurance company, and most of the policies allow them to do this. They allow you to send you to a doctor of their choosing. So they send you this doctor. It's a one-off exam. The doctor may or may not have looked at your medical records before you got there, may or may not look at your medical records after you leave there. Doctor might spend 5, 10, 15, if we're lucky, an hour with you. And then from this, maybe 15-minute conversation and maybe a brief examination of you, he's going to write a report. It's going to be a make or break report whether your benefits are going to continue. So it's kind of a faulty way of doing things. A lot of the things the insurance companies do have a lot of fault in them. Sometimes an IME has more reliability than maybe just a file review, but sometimes they don't because they spend so little time with the person that why can this 5-10 minute review or examination really be enough to deny a claim,
Right, and some are okay, but we know who's bad and who's fair, but there are people who are doctors who just make their living doing what I prefer to call compulsory medical exams, because if a claimant doesn't go, they can then be considered in breach of the policy, and for that reason alone they could be denied and possibly never have an opportunity to challenge the claim again because they're now not in compliance with the terms and conditions of the policy. So what was the definition of disability for your claimant at the time that she was 6 years later after being paid?
Well, initially for the first 2 years into this policy, you have to be unable to perform the duties of your own occupation.
Right.
And she was an entertainment tech. She was actually, her occupation was kind of unique that she was she's part of a union, the theatrical stagehand union. So she kind of worked in theater. So she was an entertainment tech, but I guess kind of like a stagehand. Pretty cool job, but definitely she could not work with her physical conditions. So the first 2 years she had to prove that she can't do that job. But after 2 years, she has to then prove that she can't do any occupation, which takes into account her training, education, and experience. So after 2 years, Hartford agreed. We find that you can't do any job either. Any job that that you might be able to do that basically take into account your training, education, and experience. And they paid her for an additional 4 years until they did this IME, and this IME gave them some of the ammo to deny this claim.
Is it unusual for you to see a claimant that's on claim with Hartford for 6 years and then get denied without any improvement in the medical condition?
Well, anything's possible with Hartford. Normally they deny people at the 2-year mark and they come to us, we get them back on claim and we keep them on claim beyond that 6-year mark. But no, I don't really see a lot of people being denied at the 6-year mark, to be quite frank with you, but anything's possible when you're dealing with some of these insurance companies. But when she got denied, she contacted our firm, I spoke with her, she explained to me what she suffers from, and I just knew that she was disabled. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we had to prove this to the insurance company. And the first thing I did was order a copy of the claim file. And when I got the claim file, I got a copy of this IME doctor's report, and I got a copy of the vocational analysis that Hartford did before they denied this claim. And it was kind of eye-opening. The first thing I noticed from the IME report is that you would think when a person suffers from this vestibular issue, they're going to send her to either a neurologist or to an ear, nose, and throat specialist, right? Did they do that? No. The IME doctor was an occupational doctor with no specialty in what she's suffering from. Big red flag. And the other thing that I thought was very interesting is that they take this IME doctor's report, and the IME doctor says, she has no restrictions, limitations, leaving her unable to work, yada yada yada. There's no support for objective evidence supporting her claim, which is wrong. Right. And they use this doctor's report, and then they do a vocational analysis. Vocational analysis person solely uses the opinion of this IME doctor.
Right, which says there's nothing wrong with her.
It says there's nothing wrong with her. Ignores the opinions of the treating providers and states, here's a bunch of jobs we think that she can do. And the crazy part about this vocational analysis is that they found 0 jobs that were in the close category, 0 jobs that were in the good category, but they went ahead and they said that she could perform other jobs that were not anywhere near close to her training, education, and experience, and utilize this vocational analysis to deny her claim as well. So they have an IME report conducted by a doctor who does not specialize in her conditions, and a vocational analysis that was, questionable at best, and they denied this poor lady's continued receipt of benefits until we got involved, did an appeal, pointed all of this out to the insurance company. We drummed up more support from her treating providers that was just overwhelmingly supportive of her claim that there's just no way that she could perform her job or any job. The doctor even noted that if she's driving a car where she can only drive short distances and it's raining and the windshield wipers are on, or if she's in a car with windshield wipers on, it's going to drive her insane. Like she loses her balance, she could get into a car crash. So she can't even drive in the rain if she could drive long distances. So this claim was just overwhelmingly supportive from not only the medical records, diagnostic evidence, her treating providers, and the fact that Hartford did such a bad job at denying this claim and relied upon such faulty and questionable reviews was just eye-opening. And we have eye-opening claims all the time, but it's another example of an eye-opening decision that they got wrong.
And I would have expected you to say in the denial that they had her on video surveillance or on social media posts doing something inconsistent with what she said she couldn't do. So, if she said, well, I never water ski, or I never bounce on a trampoline, and then they got her doing that would have been a big problem. For sure. And so, but it wasn't the case at all. It was just a random paper review, not a paper review, an examination of her by a doctor who wasn't even qualified to evaluate her, because that wasn't his specialty. And then that, they thought, outweighed the other 2 treating doctors who are in the specialty for her particular vestibular disorder.
Well, I must point out, they did do 1 paper review, but it wasn't overwhelmingly supportive of their decision to deny the claim, so that's why they did the IME doctor.
Right.
But the paper review was actually by a specialist, a neurologist, which is kind of okay to do, but it just was not, the results didn't come back as strong as they wanted, so they did the IME to further cement their decision to deny the claim.
Right, and to save money, they probably didn't go to a neurologist or an ENT at that point in time, because they want to just go to one of these general hack doctors who they pay $500 to and get a report, and that's satisfactory for them, because they figure, let's see what we can get away with. Maybe the claimant will go away. If the claimant doesn't go away, then we'll deal with it on appeal, which fortunately you were able to win the appeal, but knowing that you were doing an appeal to say, look, even if you don't approve us on appeal, we're going to slaughter you in the lawsuit, because we're going to show how absolutely unreasonable you were. And the other thing about someone who gets denied after they've been on claim for so many years is disability company really needs to prove what changed. Right. Like, did the claimant get better? Was there some new miracle medication? Sometimes that happens. The claimant would love that the claimant would trade this disability benefit in a second for getting better. But there was nothing that changed. And that's another very strong argument to say nothing changed other than you hired a hack who said that you are not disabled. So if you're someone that has a Hartford short or long-term disability insurance claim, feel free to reach out to Alex, myself, any of our disability lawyers. We'd love to provide you with an immediate free phone consultation. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you, and we look forward to speaking with you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process. And when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.